Today, we embark on a journey to cultivate joy and abundance right outside your doorstep. That's right, we're talking about the wonderful world of container gardening. Imagine stepping onto your patio, greeted by the vibrant colors of your very own herb garden. Basil, mint, rosemary, each pot brimming with life and flavor, just waiting to elevate your culinary creations. Or perhaps you envision a cascade of colorful blooms, transforming your balcony into a fragrant oasis. Container gardening is a beautiful way to connect with nature, even in the smallest of spaces. But just like tidying our homes, it requires a little bit of knowledge and a whole lot of heart. So let's roll up our sleeves, put on our gardening gloves, and dive into the top 5 container gardening pitfalls to avoid. Overwatering. This is a mistake I see so often, especially among beginner gardeners. It's understandable, really. When we love something, we want to shower it with care and attention. And what better way to show our plants we care than by giving them plenty of water? But just like our homes can feel cluttered and heavy with too many possessions, our plant pots can become overwhelmed with too much water. Imagine for a moment, dear friends, being trapped in a space with no room to breathe. That is what it feels like for a plant's roots when the soil is constantly soggy. Instead of thriving, the roots begin to suffocate and rot. The leaves might turn yellow, wilt, or even drop off. It's heartbreaking to see a plant suffer like this, especially when it's a result of our best intentions. So how can we avoid the pitfall of overwatering? It's all about finding the right balance. Before you reach for that watering can, take a moment to feel the soil with your finger. If it feels damp an inch below the surface, your plant has enough moisture for now. And remember, drainage is key. When choosing your pots, always opt for ones with drainage holes. These holes allow excess water to escape, preventing the soil from becoming waterlogged. Think of it as creating a clear and flowing energy for your plants to thrive in. Now let's talk about pot size. It's tempting to think that bigger is always better. But in the world of container gardening, that's not always the case. Just like our belongings need a designated space to spark joy, our plants need a pot that's just the right size to support their growth. If a pot is too large, the soil will take a long time to dry out, increasing the risk of overwatering and root rot. On the other hand, if a pot is too small, the roots will become cramped and constricted, limiting the plant's ability to absorb nutrients and thrive. Choosing the right pot size is all about finding that sweet spot, the Goldilocks principle, if you will. It's about creating a space that's not too big, not too small, but just right for your plant to flourish. A good rule of thumb is to start with a pot that's slightly larger than the plant's current root ball. As your plant grows, you can always repot it into a larger container. And remember, different plants have different space requirements. A compact herb like thyme might be perfectly content in a 6-inch pot, while a sprawling tomato plant will need a spacious 5-gallon container to spread its roots. Just as a tidy home starts with a clean and organized foundation, a thriving container garden starts with healthy, nutrient-rich soil. Now, I know it can be tempting to reach for the cheapest bag of potting mix at the garden center, but trust me, dear friends, investing in quality soil is worth every penny. Think of it this way. The soil is your plant's home. It's where the roots will spend their days absorbing the nutrients and moisture they need to grow. Would you want to live in a cramped, stuffy, and lifeless space? Of course not. Regular garden soil is often too dense and compact for containers. It doesn't allow for proper drainage and can suffocate the roots of your precious plants. Instead, look for a potting mix specifically designed for containers. These mixes are typically lighter and fluffier, with ingredients like peat moss, perlite, and vermiculite that improve drainage and aeration. A good potting mix will provide your plants with the nutrients they need to thrive, while also creating a welcoming and comfortable environment for their roots to grow and flourish. It's an investment that will pay off in the long run with healthier, happier, and more productive plants. Sunlight, dear friends, is the lifeblood of any garden. It's the energy that fuels photosynthesis, the magical process by which plants transform light into food. Just as we need sunlight to feel energized and alive, plants need sunlight to grow and thrive. But here's the thing. Not all plants have the same sunlight requirements. Some plants, like sun-loving tomatoes and peppers, need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day to produce their juicy fruits. Others, like shade-tolerant ferns and hostas, prefer dappled sunlight or even full shade. Ignoring a plant's sunlight needs is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just won't work. Putting a shade-loving plant in full sun is a recipe for disaster. Just like relegating a sun-hungry plant to a dark corner will leave it weak and leggy. Before you choose a spot for your container garden, take some time to observe the sunlight patterns in your space. Identify areas that receive full sun, partial shade, and full shade. Then, when selecting your plants, make sure to choose varieties that are well suited to the light conditions you can provide. In their natural environment, plants have access to a vast network of nutrients in the soil. But in the confined space of a container, those nutrients can become depleted quickly. That's why it's essential to replenish the soil regularly with fertilizer, providing your plants with the nourishment they need to thrive. Think of it this way. Just as we need a balanced diet to stay healthy and energized, plants need a balanced diet of nutrients to grow strong and produce an abundance of flowers, fruits, and foliage. Without regular feeding, your plants might start to show signs of nutrient deficiency, such as stunted growth, yellowing leaves, or poor flowering. There are many different types of fertilizers available, but for container gardening, I recommend using a slow-release fertilizer or a liquid fertilizer. Slow-release fertilizers, as the name suggests, release nutrients gradually over time, providing a steady supply of nourishment to your plants. Liquid fertilizers, on the other hand, are mixed with water and applied directly to the soil, providing a quick boost of nutrients. The key is to follow the instructions on the fertilizer packaging carefully, as over-fertilizing can be just as harmful as under-fertilizing. And remember, dear friends, feeding your plants is an act of love and care. It's about providing them with the nourishment they need to grow strong, healthy, and full of life. There you have it, fellow plant enthusiasts. We've explored 5 common container gardening pitfalls and, more importantly, how to avoid them. Remember, just like tidying our homes brings a sense of peace and joy, nurturing a thriving container garden brings a unique sense of satisfaction and connection with nature. Avoid these pitfalls and you'll be well on your way to harvesting fresh herbs, vibrant blooms, and maybe even a bountiful crop of veggies, all from the comfort of your own patio or balcony. And here's the real secret sauce. Every thriving garden needs a generous sprinkle of love, and maybe a pep talk or two for those stubborn seedlings. So, roll up those sleeves, get your hands gloriously dirty, and let your green thumb shine. Got a quirky garden hack or a tip that makes your plants do a happy dance? Share it with us using #Rhokins Homestead on your favorite social media. If you had fun and learned something new, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because the garden party is just getting started. Thanks for hanging out with me at Rhokins Homestead, your go-to spot for all things green and growing. Let's dig in and grow together. Happy gardening!